Let's dish. Let us spill the tea.
We're going to do a little something different on Storytelling on the Plains this week. You know how like people usually celebrate 50th episode, 100th episode?
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. Well, we've done 60 now.
Oh, wow. We're 10 episodes late. Happy 60th. Yeah, we should just do that from now. Every 60th.
Just do odd ones. Like we're going to do our 83rd episode.
On episode 103, we're going to do an anniversary. That sounds right.
Yeah. So I figured one day we'll still be able to go out and do some recording stuff.
So you figured it out?
I think I figured it out. I charged everything up, and I'm gonna go out one day and just talk and be dumb.
We need to do that.
And
that would be fun.
Because I would love to go out to because I know you haven't been out to Sheep Creek Cemetery.
No, I haven't.
And I would love to go out there with you and get, on the spot reactions, and then hopefully it works because we did it at Legacy.
We did try.
Yes.
We had a wonderful time and we tried. And damn it didn't work.
So I did charge those up, and I'm gonna give it a go again. I took, like when you came here today, my laptop was sitting here. Mm-hmm. That's my very old, like 9-year-old laptop. I deleted all the programs I don't need off of it because I just need the 2 podcasting programs. Mm-hmm. It starts up a lot quicker. It took me like 5 hours because it's been offline for 4 or 5 years. Longer than that. 5 years, yeah. Because when I started working at the shelter, I was using it, and about a year later, I got my new laptop. So it's been offline for about 5 years, so I did a crap load of updates because it does have Windows 10, and it doesn't have the hardware that can upgrade to 11. And in October, so we're just a couple months away, they're ending support for Windows 10. So I'll just make sure it's all updated through October, and then it'll be completely offline after that, because for our software needs for podcasting, it doesn't need to be online. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it'll die, and I'll have to put it on a newer computer. But the laptop is still very good, very serviceable. I like the keyboard, so I'll probably leave
and
LibreOffice on it.
Stickers.
Yes.
Very cute stickers.
You
don't overlap like I do. Like I have my entire top of my laptop's covered, but it's overlapped with stickers.
Really?
I'll overlap them with more stickers. Yeah, I'll just stick it on top of another sticker. I don't care.
And they're all F1 stickers, and I wish I could put them on a new laptop, but I can't.
That's not how stickers work.
Yeah, that's not how stickers work, and I couldn't find all of them, but they're all Formula One stickers except for this one that says 100% plastic free, which isn't true, but it doesn't matter. The neat thing is, if you look closely, my laptop came with a little cover on it that I was supposed to peel off, because it keeps the front cover from...
Oh,
yeah. So I can peel that off, and I could frame it. And so they're all neat things from Formula One that I don't want to say inspirational because I'm not really into inspirational stuff, but it's stuff that makes me smile. Like this little sticker of Lewis Hamilton during COVID. There was a race, and I forget which race it was. It was freezing cold outside, so he took one of the tire blanket warmers and wrapped up in it. And somebody made a sticker of it, so I was like, oh, I'm totally putting that on there. Very so this laptop works great. I love the keyboard. It's an LG Gram. I am now on my 3rd LG Gram. That's how much I like these laptops. Yeah. And it's because...
I don't even know what mine is.
I did a lot of research. I want the lightest laptop out there because when I travel, I take my laptop with me. Mm-hmm. I tried doing a tablet and a portable keyboard, and just doesn't work well. And it was more of a pain than just having a laptop. So this laptop is about 2 pounds.
Yeah, that is really light.
It's very light.
Yeah, this is way lighter than mine.
And 99% of what I do on my laptops is writing. So I don't need anything with a big CPU or GPU. I'm not playing games. I'm writing on my laptop. So I just need something really light with a nice keyboard. And I unintentionally just did an ad for LG Grams.
Oh, sponsor us, please.
But I like the way
LG.
they're made, so I just keep going back to them. And every time I do the research, and I bought a Dell that had Linux pre-installed in it, and it was nice, but it's heavier. So, you know.
Mine's heavier than that, yeah.
Yeah, your laptop is big.
Yeah.
Big and heavy, yeah.
But it was free.
Yeah, so
that was the best thing
that's
ever.
the best part of it.
Yeah.
So if someone made a solid laptop that's under 2 pounds that has a good keyboard, I don't want one of the ones where you're all scrunched up on the keyboard.
Yeah, like decently spaced
Yeah.
out.
And you can do it for, under 3 pounds. Mine is just over 2. Anyway, this week on Storytelling on the Plains, we're just going to be talking about current history. But that was one of the things, we use the Rodecaster Pro, and you can do settings on the board here. But if you plug it into,
We're just lazy.
Yeah, we're lazy. We set the settings and we left them.
Nope,
Oh.
I'm not going to touch.
Oh, that's
anything
okay.
else.
There you go. We're still going. You just I don't know how did you get to that screen?
I rubbed this ever so gently.
Oh, okay.
And see, now I won't do it.
Well,
I was.
yeah,
I
we're
was
still
just rubbing
recording,
dust
so
off of it,
so we're good. But that takes what you accidentally touched takes you into some submenus. They are far easier to get to on a laptop that's plugged into it, and you can get to more fine-tune settings that way. I kind of freaked out for a minute because your mic isn't going right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
Gotta
wait,
test it.
that's because Connor's not talking.
I'm talking.
And it's easier to use and more intuitive for me on the laptop. So laptop's updated. We should be good to go. I updated our little portable mics to hopefully make that work well. We'll find out next time.
And now that we've properly, broadcasted Rode and LG.
Oh gosh, yeah. Give me money, people.
Right? Those are sponsors. Rode.
So last week, and this will be a couple weeks down the road for you all, so I'm just going to say the date. So on August 8th and 9th, Humanities Nebraska had a Chautauqua thing. I don't even know how to properly identify Chautauqua things, but they had it called Weaving a Nation.
Okay.
And they had a bunch of talks on Friday and Saturday. And I'm just going to read from the back of their little pamphlet here. Traveling Chautauquas in the late 19th and early 20th centuries brought the world to rural communities in Nebraska. Chautauqua combined programs of political oratory and lectures about health, science, and the humanities with entertainment such as opera singers and stage performances of Shakespeare. Audiences heard about national issues and discussed their views with their neighbors. On June 26, 1883, the first Chautauqua program in Nebraska opened in Crete. In 1884, the Crete Chautauqua Association acquired 109 acres along the Blue River for 2 lecture halls, a dining hall, and 700 trees on the site. Trains brought culture-hungry participants from Wymore, Lincoln, and Hastings. One delegation traveled all the way from Chadron to live in the tent city near the 10-day series of inspirational lectures, lantern slide, illustrated travelogues, and music concerts. So that's pretty cool that they had slides even back then. They just used lantern slides. Yeah. And literally, if you're not familiar with that, it's a lantern that has an opening where you can put a picture in it and it will project it onto a wall. That's literally.
What's a slide projector?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I just went the hard.
I had a kid the other day, not to interrupt.
Nope, you're fine.
I just had a kid the other day who asked for the time, and instead of telling him, I'm like, oh, the time's right there, because that's what I usually do, and it was a face clock. And he was he turned red-faced, and he got really embarrassed. I'm like, excuse me, sir, I don't know how to read a face clock. This boy was 14, 15 years old. And it didn't occur to me that there's a lot of kids nowadays that don't know how to read
yeah.
face clocks.
They know digital clocks, and that's it.
Clocks. And I told him, I was like, not to be embarrassed, but I just told him what the time was. But I just, that's what I usually was like, oh, the clock's right there, yo. It's like, duh. Time's right there.
Yeah.
But,
and they don't teach that at all anymore.
Oh, I feel bad for the kid, though.
Yeah.
He was very embarrassed about not knowing. And it's something we take for granted, because as a kid, I had a hell of a time, with face clocks.
Okay. Yeah. I learned how to do it mostly on my own. They did teach it to me in school. I just learned it earlier because I wanted the Star Wars watch with C-3PO and R2-D2. And if you...
That's kind of actually what got me too.
Yeah, and if you go on my website or my Substack account, you can find the article I wrote about it. Basically, my mom said, no, you can't get the watch till you learn how to tell time. And I had to be able to tell you that it was 4:10, 10 minutes after 4, and 50 minutes before 5. And I had to know every way to tell that time before she would get me a watch. And I did get that watch. That's and wore the heck out of it. Yeah. But they did teach me in school, and they don't teach it anymore.
They taught me in school too, but it went the way of cursive. You don't. And the slide projector, for those who do not know of the younger crowd what a slide projector is, it's, back in the day, you had to take your photos into a Photoshop and you get them developed into your pictures, but they'd always give you your negatives back, and those negatives were commonly sliced, and they were put in a little cardboard
holder,
yeah. And that was considered a slide. And so when you projected it against light, it would project against the wall.
Yep. And then when you went from slide to slide in class, you'd hear
yeah. For
every slide that went by.
I actually think for the modern kid, you guys should know a slide projector. Just watch It. If you watch Stephen King's The Modern It, they did have a slide projector in there where he pops out and does boo. But that is what a slide projector is. So.
Okay. So the Chautauquas were really popular at one point in time, sometimes even having more than 60 shows in a season. And some of the Chautauqua speakers included Teddy Roosevelt, Helen Keller, Mark Twain, Clarence Darrow, Carrie Nation, George Norris, and the most famous Chautauquan, William Jennings Bryan, I never say that dude's name right, who presented his speech, Prince of Peace, more than 3,000 times. Can you imagine giving the same speech 3,000 times? Jesus.
Chautauqua is kind of like Kiwanis?
No. Because Kiwanis is a service organization.
But Chautauqua is an organization. It's not. You say Chautauqua, I think it's like a tribe.
Oh, no.
It's not like a tribe of Native Americans I never heard of.
It's an organization, and when they just did this Chautauqua, it was through Humanities Nebraska. So
it's just a name. It's a name.
If you say there's going to be a Chautauqua, there's going to be people performing. Like there was a lady performing as Abigail Adams. But telling the history, and there's just regular folks like our friend Jerry. He gave a talk there, and he just came and gave his talk about history of unseen people in Nebraska. And so some of it is just straight up lectures about history in our state. Okay. Some of it is people are dressed up as that person, and they pretend to be that person and give a talk. And it's all just learning about. It's more learning history now than current event stuff.
It's like a history con.
Sort of, yeah, yeah. And they're not like 10-day events anymore. They're 2 or 3 day events. Because, I mean, I would sit through it if it was a 10-day event and there were lectures. And that was one of the things I actually put, because they asked you to rate the speakers. Because these speakers also go and do talks throughout the year, just, you know, like a school district might hire them to come and talk. But a Chautauqua is always free. So Humanities Nebraska was footing the bill for this. I don't know if they got a grant or what, but they were footing the bill because Chautauquas are always free. And they're really cool, in my opinion. But they did start declining, and several factors led to the decline of the traveling Chautauquas. Greater mobility, so you could drive yourself to see this stuff. Radio and film entertainment, economic decline, and a change in national attitude. So, you know, people just...
We're all about to experience that here pretty soon with the National Public Broadcasting going down under.
Yep. Perhaps the most significant was the radio, where news was quickly and directly broadcasted to the general public, making it possible to hear FDR's fireside chats, opera, and radio shows like Amos and Andy from the comfort of your living room. So you didn't have to travel to these things anymore. They were right there on your radio. So Humanities Nebraska rekindled the Chautauqua tradition in 1984 with modern Chautauquas that use public forum and discussion to focus on a particular historical era or theme. And for more than 40 years, Humanities Nebraska has had humanities-based Chautauqua programs to communities all across the state. The one they just had down at Legacy of the Plains on August 8th and 9th was called Weaving a Nation, and they were commemorating the upcoming 250th anniversary of the U.S. by sharing lesser-known stories from people who witnessed the establishment of the country from different perspectives. So I went to it. I did not get to go to everything because there is a lot. And on the 9th...
Excuse me, does it like overlap?
Some do and some don't, and that's my only real drawback of the program is like, okay, it's 2:00, you can go to this one or this one. Yeah, I want to go to both. You know, I want to do both, but they only had 2 days. You know, if they had been able to spread it to 3 days, then maybe there wouldn't be overlap, and I would prefer it that way. But we also live in 2025 where people can't give up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which I would have loved to have done. I also swiped, because you know me, the historian in me collects all this crap. So they had a little agenda of all the different talks they were having, and some were at night. So some of them were down at the Midwest Theater. I did not get to any of those because I already had plans those nights, so I couldn't get to them. I'll leave that up here for when we're going through this. And then they had this neat little coloring book with El Vaquero, Abigail Adams, Chief Big Elk, and then like some little puzzles and stuff inside for the younger folks that would show up to it. And then they just...
Did you see a lot of young folk?
No, I did not. From what I understand, most of the young folks were at the thing at night.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. And then I got a sticker. And it just says, "Be true to yourself, Humanities Nebraska," and a little donation thing. So I got there late on the first day, which was about Lewis and Clark. What was their value worth? Seaman, York, Sacagawea, and Pomp Stories. And I pronounce her name Sacagawea because that's as close to the proper way of pronouncing her name. We all grew up with Sacagawea. Pronounce it however you want. We all know who you're talking about. And I don't think it's particularly pompous to say her name right either. I'm not.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be saying Nebraska right because you're saying it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But I walked in partway through So we're just going to talk about current history, even though this is the past. This is a current event that they put on, and I'm almost positive it was 2014, not 2015. I think it was 2014. There was a Chautauqua out here as well. So it does come out here periodically, but it costs money, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had 8 different speakers, and a couple of the speakers also spoke at night at the Midwest and did a slightly different, more entertaining show in character. It takes a lot to coordinate to get those people out here and raise the funds and do all that kind of stuff. So I think it would be cool to have something like this every year, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know just from working at the Star Herald, and the Star Herald is a major sponsor of the Monument Marathon, which is in September. That's coming up. The committee, I believe, takes the rest of September and October off, and then come November they're planning. They may even start planning sooner than that.
I can see that.
Because it's a lot of work to put something like that on every year. And so this is putting a thing on every year with different things, but then you have a theme around everything. And I'm assuming that they did it this year because next year is it next year? Next year's 250, not this year. Yeah, next year's 250. 250th anniversary of the U.S. But a lot of places that have big anniversaries like that, they're going to have stuff going on next year, and they won't be able to do something like that here. So it's part of a year-long thing that they're doing. Because technically, if you go back 250 years, you're in 1775, and if you know your U.S. history, it's all the stuff that's still leading up to what happened, So anyway, I just made some notes from the, what do you call it? What was her talk? Lewis and Clark, Seaman York, Sacagawea, and Pomp Stories. And so I walked in the middle of it because I couldn't get there. I missed the first half. But a lot of it was talking about how those people weren't free at that point in time. And I missed part of Sacagawea's history, but that she was 9 years old when she was stolen. So really, how much was she able to lead them where they needed to go?
So you might have to backtrack for some of our younger viewers here. So this is Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark have made their adventure. They are going out west. Yep. They are traveling, and I guess, I don't know if they come to the conclusion that they need a guide or they happen to have found her first. I don't know. But she's their guide.
Yep. And
Sacagawea. No, I can't. Sacagawea.
There you go.
Sacagawea helped Lewis and Clark navigate throughout the West.
Yeah.
Without her, it is widely speculated that they would have probably died.
Yeah.
One way or another. She helped them immensely, not just with navigation, but with negotiation with other tribes, and she was like essential, which is why they have finally, I don't know what year they did it, in the later 2000s, put her on a coin.
Yeah. And the lady that was talking, Renee Hunt, she's with the Humanities Nebraska Speakers Bureau. So she actually, if you're a member of the Speakers Bureau, you'll go to different places in the state and give talks and stuff. But she was talking about how what was their value, because they were all slaves that were in one form of another that were traveling with them. But toward the end, because I walked in on the second half, and I will let our viewers know when I find out because they did try to do some recording of the talk, so you can go and listen to the talk. But basically, there's Lewis and Clark and a couple of slaves and a lady with a little child and a dog going down the river. And the thought is, that's just some dudes with a lady and a baby and a dog. They're not going to attack us. And so that was one of her points about that. But when they got to the Pacific, and I have to admit, I do not know a lot of the major details of Lewis and Clark.
I should know more. That was my fourth grade essay, and my teacher was harsh. Like, we had all year to do it. To be fair, she would tell you your end of year essay at the beginning of the year. So it's called an end of year essay. You got to choose. I chose Lewis and Clark, and you had to have something like. She wanted an essay, but she wanted it in note cards, and I think you had to have it up to like 300 or 400. You had to have it up there quite a ways. I might be exaggerating. As a kid, it felt like a lot, but it was quite a bit of history. And again, you had all year to do it. So with, of course, my mom's encouragement and help, I got all the books. I read and I studied and I learned all about how Lewis and Clark went from the east to the west, met Sacagawea. But to tell you the truth, looking back, I've forgotten a lot because a lot of what they do is just travel. A lot of the bits that was so boring was, they were walking and they were walking and they were walking, and then they meet this tribe and they're about to get killed and Sacagawea intervenes, and then they're walking and they're walking.
And
I got a lot story.
And see, of course, where I grew up in New York, you learn more about the Iroquois Confederacy because it was right there. Yeah. And Lewis and Clark, you learn about it, but here's the highlights. And
here was the Oregon Trail, but all my friends stole that first.
Yeah.
All my classmates got all the little bits of the Oregon Trail before I did, because there was like a list, and you couldn't do someone
else had. Okay, my fourth grade essay. So also the note card thing, that was a thing. I graduated from high school in 1988, and anybody that gave a presentation in front of class, we didn't have speech classes. That was a voluntary class. It was not required.
Yeah, you graduated the year I was born.
Shut up, Connor. Oh, my God. So our teachers would often have a note card limit. Like, you're going to get up and give a talk. You're limited to 10 note cards. That's all you could have. Yeah. And so you were still doing that in high school. I'm curious. I'm guessing just with everything being easier on a computer that it switched with that.
No, not with me. My high school, we had computer classes, but like the really big thing about our computer classes was learning Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel. That was really the big thing that they wanted you to learn.
Okay.
So if you didn't go into marketing is when you actually got into the graphics and the cool things, which is really, really sucky because they don't tell you that. So when you go to your school counselor in high school and you look up and you say marketing, none of that computer stuff jumps out at you. So it's like, why would I want to do marketing? And then your friends do marketing and they tell you all this cool crap that they're doing on the computers, and they show me. I'm like, you guys didn't tell me you did this. I thought you were doing marketing, like you were selling stuff. But I got my own way. Because I did architectural design with my friends for almost every semester in my class. I think I did every single one they provided. So I got to use AutoCAD, and the AutoCAD system had the animation system, and I loved it so much, and I fiddled with it so much that eventually my teacher just said, "Bring me your work, and I'll give you an A," because it's so much more advanced and so much more than what I'm just teaching. I'm just like teaching you how to build a house or how to make a square in AutoCAD or something like that. And I was building whole animations. I made a little, for my final, I made an 8-ball that popped out into a robot and then exploded. And again, this was in 2005, 2006.
Okay.
So this was still more of the early ages of computer animation, that kind of stuff. And it was amazing.
So see, your assignment now is, because you don't have enough jobs with 3 or 4, is to go do that and make animations with our podcast.
That would be great. Do you know how much an AutoCAD system costs? More than the system we're talking on now and everything on top of it.
I know. I know.
I only know that because I wanted to get one for Jason, my husband, to do landscaping. So we looked into it. Oh. It's like in the grands.
Oh, man, yeah.
It's a computer, so it's like
I don't know. Is it once you buy it, you own it, or is it?
No, you still got subscriptions. You got subscriptions and licenses on top of that. So it's just you have to be in a certain place to be able to afford that or make it a business. Yeah. Now I say that things have changed. They do have other AutoCAD-like systems that are basically practically free because of 3D printers.
Okay.
I mean, that's changed the whole game. Because the basic 3D printing formats that I see are basically dumbed down AutoCAD systems.
Okay.
And that's what they use. So you can get something like an AutoCAD system, but nothing like I got to play with in the 2000s when it was all on the high school's dime. And that was the time where we just got a CNC machine that would actually make your designs, cut them out of foam or wood. It wasn't like 3D printing like we have now. It was just a slicing machine. Okay. But it would make your house. Because it was architectural engineering, so we were supposed to be making houses.
Yeah.
Towards my end, I don't think I ever made a house, but I make houses, and they'd make it for you. So I got to do that stuff. It was fun.
That's cool. My fourth grade presentation was a speech about the life of Thomas Edison, and I've forgotten almost everything that I stood up there and presented, and I can't even tell you what I did because I hate talking in front of people, even in fourth grade. So I read from it. I remember there were a couple of questions from my classmates, and I know I got an A on the thing, but I probably couldn't tell you 20 minutes later what I talked about because that's how terrifying talking in front of people is.
Did you talk about the elephant?
I don't even remember.
I forgot its name. I should know the name of the elephant because it was made so famous.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Thomas Edison was kind of a weird character.
Yeah, he was. He was quite different.
But then again, so was Lewis and Clark. Back to what we were talking
about.
Yeah. The bit I do remember is they were odd. They were two odd folk.
Yeah, that were just like, hey, let's go do this thing, and it kind of worked out. One of the things this lady brought up, too, was that when they got to the West Coast, you're all slaves, but when they were deciding what to do, everybody got a vote. So as far as this lady is concerned, Sacagawea is the first woman who was able to vote in America. Because everything...
good.
Yeah. So...
I would concede that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. And then also at some point in time on their little travels, she got violently ill on the trail. I
do remember that.
And she was given sulfa water to get better. And today, and I'm taking this off of the word of Renee Hunt, who is doing this speech, because we're doing this, 3 days after I was there, 3 or 4 days after I was there. I have not had time to research this, but if you're a member of the Speakers Bureau for Humanities Nebraska, you research the crap out of your stuff before you present it. So I'm going off the assumption with all of this stuff I'm going to talk about that it's correct. Yeah. So she said that doctors today believe that Sacagawea had some kind of postpartum depression, and that's what her symptoms were. And she said that sulfa drugs are still what they give women today for postpartum depression.
What's a sulfa drug? I'm a little bit naive.
I don't know how to explain them other than if someone gives me a sulfa drug, please take me to the hospital because I'm going to die. And yes, I learned that the hard way.
But is it like, I guess, is it an antibiotic, a painkiller?
It's an antibiotic.
It's an antibiotic.
I believe.
I guess
but it can be used for other things. The one that I had, so I had the flu. And I've only had the flu 3 times in my life, and I thought I was going to die every time. A friend took me to the emergency room, And they gave me medicine, brought me home, and 20 minutes later, I don't know any of this. My friend had to tell me this because I completely blacked out. So I remember coming home, laying on the couch, and she went to make me a cup of tea. That's all I remember until the next morning.
Wow.
It got so bad, she called my mom, who was a nurse in New York, because I'm violently throwing up and it's gray. Everything that's coming out is gray. So she's freaking out. She calls my mom in New York. My mom goes,
Jesus
take her back to the
Christ,
ER. You shouldn't have even called me. Take her to the ER.
She's throwing up gray. She's possessed. Get her to the hospital.
And I couldn't walk at that point in time.
Jeez.
And a police officer who just happened to be there carried me into the ER. I don't know what they all did to me to stabilize me, but they gave me sulfa drugs instead. And I woke up the next morning and I had a rash head to toe.
Huh.
And this was on that was Saturday morning. And I called my doctor's office and I was able to actually talk to my doctor. And he goes, Irene, stop taking that medicine and come see me Monday. And I go, but
allergic to it.
yeah, I'm like, but I feel sick. Well, yeah, you're going to die from both. That's how I found out I was allergic to penicillin. So both my mom and my maternal grandfather were allergic to penicillin, but it happened to them later in life. I was only 21. Mm-hmm. That's how I found out I was allergic to penicillin, and that was my body's reaction to it. They gave me sulfa drugs. I have a rash head to toe. I'm allergic to sulfa drugs. So I have a medic alert bracelet. I don't wear it in general at home, and maybe I should, but on my backpacks when I go out backpacking, and I have a little card in my wallet that has, I'm diabetic, here's my allergies, please don't give me aspirin, because my entire family has that gene. Don't give us aspirin because we're going to die. We're going to go into anaphylactic shock. Yeah, so that's, I'm not even sure. Oh, with the sulfa drugs. So
they were giving Sacagawea sulfa drugs?
They were giving her
then?
some kind of, because sulfa is out in the wild and it grows in a plant, and I don't know enough about sulfa, and if we were doing this episode.
I'm going to have to deep dive if it's a plant-based thing.
Yeah.
You know me.
And so, yes, I know, you will find it out. I just haven't had any time to research it because I just found it fascinating that she was like, it made her better, and they still give it to women today. So I'm like, sometimes they do know what's going on.
So they give it to women with postpartum depression.
Yeah. So
but it's an antibiotic. Isn't what postpartum depression?
I don't know because I don't know.
I'll have to look.
I don't know enough about it other than don't give it to me because
don't give it to Irene, folks.
So I will have to do some more research on it, but I thought it was kind of cool that they gave that to her. They went and found some because I guess it grew wild out there, and it worked, and that we still use it today. So,
That's pretty cool.
And she mentioned that her son, who went with them at that point in time, was actually a true guide. So she wasn't a true guide because she didn't really know where she was going. She was stolen when she was 9.
I just didn't want to ask the question.
Yeah.
It's like, how did she know all that stuff? Because I did know she was more or less a captured servant, but maybe she got told really good stories.
Yeah, who knows? And her son was a true guide later on in life. He was a good, proper guide, then could take you wherever you wanted to go.
Her son, was this the baby in the basket?
Yep. Okay. Yep. And none of them were paid because they weren't considered valuable. And so that was kind of the focus of her talk was, they're not valuable, so why should we pay them? They're essentially slaves. They'll just do what we tell them to do. But then Lewis and Clark, you spend all that time with someone, they are, but they still didn't get paid, which they should have. And she said there are many stories about where and when Sacagawea was born and died, but we really don't know because 1, they didn't keep records. 2, she was stolen when she was 9 and taken someplace else. So, even if she did know that spot's where I was born, she was taken when she was 9. And I think back to when I was 9. I don't remember, you know, I only know where I was born because it says it on my birth certificate. Like my hospital, they issued 2 birth certificates. One was you were born at this hospital and had some facts and figures like, you know, you were 7 pounds, 8 pounds, whatever, that stuff. And then your proper New York State birth certificate. And I only know I was born in that hospital because my whole family was born in that hospital. Now, if anyone else in my family is born, so later on descendants, including my great-nephew, that hospital is now a veterans hospital, and they built a bigger hospital a few miles away. So, yeah, unless you happen to be a pregnant woman that gives birth in that hospital while you're waiting for some VA appointment, nobody's going to be born there anymore. So she also mentioned, and I would like to research this a little bit further, is that the first people on the Platte were not traveling west like we think. They were actually traveling west, and what had happened was they had gone along the Missouri River like Lewis and Clark had done, but then when they got to the other end, they had heard from people, oh, there's this other way to get back, and they basically just said, oh, well, let's try that way. And so the first white people that we know of coming through this area were coming east. They weren't going west. And that's something that I'd like to research a little bit more, just because it's interesting and you want to have the right facts going on. They also gave another talk about the early Japanese settlers in America, and Julie Ushio, and hopefully I got her name right, it gave a presentation about the early Japanese, which I still would love to get that whole episode out because it'll be more than one episode. There's a lot that goes on, and basically they have now a 5th generation of Nebraskans here, and I neglected to write down what the 4th and 5th are. But the 1st generation is the Issei, 2nd generation is Nisei, 3rd generation is Sansei. And the talk was all about the Issei. And Julie's grandparents settled in Alliance, and they settled in 1930, and they owned the Alliance Cleaners for 65 years. And for those of you that don't know, the horrible Japanese internment camps that we had during World War II, they were able to stay, and they were able to keep their business open as well because Alliance had an air base. So the military men needed their stuff dry cleaned, and they were able to keep their business open that way. Julie gave a really good talk about how the Japanese got here, why they got here, and the Japanese really started to, I don't want to say flood the area, but there was a big influx of Japanese because we had the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882. And I'm sorry for saying the ums and stuff, but I just heard this 4 days ago, and haven't had a lot of time to go through my notes, and it's literally my handwritten notes, so it's not typed up notes. But in 1882, the U.S. had the Chinese Exclusion Act, and we still need migrants to build things like the railroad and work on the farms and stuff, so the Japanese started coming. And that's very, 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 very basic how they got here, because a lot of them came to Hawaii, and the king of Hawaii at the time, which a lot of people don't know the history of Hawaii either. We stole it from the Hawaiians.
We did big time.
Yeah, that's a whole other story that we probably will only touch on when we do get to the Japanese. But basically, the king went to Japan to recruit farmers, and he also paid for no, he didn't pay for the passage. There were people that would pay for their passage, but you had to work for 3 years. So you were essentially an indentured servant. And then after the 3 years, you could go back to Japan, stay, or go to the mainland. And they paid way more than you were getting in Japan. And in Japan, if you weren't the first son, you're not getting anything. So you're not going to get married because what do you have? And, women don't want to, I don't know. I wouldn't care. Let's build a life together. But we're also talking
then,
a different time.
That was definitely a different time.
And
you had dowries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially the second, third, fourth, fifth son could come here, or come to Hawaii, work for 3 years, and then go back and have a nice little nest egg.
Yeah, have something to present to the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not actually unique to Japan alone.
Yeah.
America was doing it at the same time. We talk about it more eloquently, if we will.
Yeah, but we definitely
Victorian flash. But I mean, we're still.
We had indentured.
You didn't go ask so and so to marry his daughter if you were poorer than poor.
Yep.
He would laugh at you and tell you off. His first response is, "What can you do for my daughter? What are you going to provide?"
Yeah.
So you have to have a dowry.
And we had indentured servants here too, because you had the same thing in Western Europe and in England. If you're second, third, fourth son, you're probably not going to inherit anything. So why not take a chance and take a boat over to America and try and build something where your family name doesn't mean anything. I
guess indentured servitude in that regard could be split up, because I don't know if it was always willing. You make it sound a little bit like they were willing. Where as far as I know, it was also a sentence.
Yes, in Western Europe, it could be a sentence as well. You can either go to jail for 20 years or you can go to the U.S. and work for 5.
Oh, in the 1800s, you didn't go to jail for 20 years. You were hung.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Remember, back in the 1800s, jail wasn't for a time. There was no, you get a sentence. There was no sentencing.
There were jails, not prisons, really.
You were either let free by some benevolent king or priest or something, or you died there.
And Julie also talked about when they came to the U.S., they had to wear shoes. So that was something that they had to get used to. And the women, I believe it was mostly the women. When you see women wearing kimonos, what you don't know is they were all one size, and you had to fold it to fit you. Mm-hmm. So, how tall are you, Connor?
6 foot.
6 foot, and I'm 5'4". So let's say you're wearing the same piece of fabric that I am.
Because it's just a long length of cloth.
Yeah, and it's going to have a lot more folds and tucks for me because I'm 6 inches shorter than you.
That's the gossip of the day, right, in Japan? Like, look how many tucks that girl has. Yeah.
How short are you?
It's like, how short are you? Jeez. Look at my tucks. I got like 4 or 5. How many do you have? 8?
So that was something that they had to get used to here as well, is clothing was different sizes, different shapes, different colors. So, that's something that we take for granted because that's, I mean...
Not to mention the foot binding.
Yeah, that was later.
I don't know how much she talked about foot binding.
She didn't talk about it at all.
But then it might not have been as popular, honestly.
I don't think it was at that point in time, but I don't know.
It's very feudal Japan. Yeah. The old women concubines binding their feet till they're crippled.
Yeah. And the one point Julie made was life was opposite and inside out. Writing goes from right to left. It also goes top to bottom. And I lost my place here. Locks worked backwards, tools pushed instead of pulled. So they came here, and even though they came here willingly, everything was completely backwards from what they knew. It wasn't just, you got to learn English and you'll be fine. Like if you come to the U.S. today, we might have a different style of clothing, but if I give you a shirt like you're wearing now with a short sleeve button down shirt, it's not that hard to figure out how to wear it. But everything was completely different. So they're trying to learn.
And if you guys want a dose of that reality, go visit Japan.
Yeah.
Because that oppositeness is largely still survived in many, many weird ways.
Yep.
Weird ways that Japan does things to us.
Yep. And also, some of the folks that came over were veterans that didn't have anything. And so they were just like, oh, we're going to come here. So I ended up taking a crap ton of notes on the Japanese. Julie said you can make enough money in 5 years to return as a wealthy man. I'm not going to go through all 5 pages of everything, every detail, because I still want to do those episodes and I can refer to this. Her grandfather, Nochi, came to the U.S. at 13 as a stowaway. So some of these indentured servitude places were also not the nicest people to deal with. There were some shipping companies that were set up. They set up let me start again. The shipping company set up hotels. So you're coming out from wherever you were at, and it might be a day or two, whatever, before the ship goes out. And so you stay in this hotel, which happens to be run by the shipping company, and they start telling you, oh, you can do this, you can do this. And because you don't know any better, you get pulled into a scam. And so even though you willingly want to go to the U.S., you get pulled into a scam, and your indentured servitude. It's a little worse than what you wanted.
I think nowadays we call that human trafficking.
Yeah, pretty much. And she went into detail about her father and grandfather, and her grandfather, Nochi. What happened to him was he was the eldest of 11 kids. And they came from a priestly family. They were Shinto. And the entire family put out, the entire village raised the money so that he could go to the U.S. So he's going to go to the U.S. and not be an indentured servant. He comes to town, is waiting on, to find the ship. He stays at one of these hotels. Some dude becomes his friend, and then the morning where he's supposed to go pick up his money from the bank to go pay, oh, your friend was here this morning and took the money out because he said you weren't feeling ill, or you were feeling ill. So he was taking the money out so that he could help you get on the boat and pay passage. So all of his money is gone. Oh, and so now he has to be an indentured servant. So
now you're forced.
Yeah. And apparently that was a common
human
thing.
Trafficking.
Yeah. So she went into detail about that. And then by 1900, they were building branch lines off the railroad in western Nebraska, so you don't just have the straight line, you got the lines going here, there, and everywhere else. And a lot of folks by 1904 have settled in the Scottsbluff area.
That makes sense.
And there is such a thing, some of them got names wrong, so the oldest gravestone in Scottsbluff County is Satow, but it's the Satos. But it was spelled wrong, and I would love to do some more digging on that.
I assume it's spelled in English writing, not any kind of Japanese kanji or something like that.
And it's she said something about how because they were doing it in kanji, somehow it got screwed up in translation, and
it's easy to do in kanji to be. Now that I've been a manga head all my life, not a mega head.
Yeah,
no.
Manga
head all my life. So and still to this day, you have to. That's where the backwards. Right to left. You still do that to manga. You have to read it from the back, not the front.
Okay.
You can't read it from the front. It won't make sense. You're reading the end of the story backwards. But anyway, that was something in kanji. One symbol can mean like two or three different things, or can mean something in the other form, because there's kanji and then there's katakana. There's another, I might have just screwed that up. I thought that there's more than one. It's not all just written in kanji. There's a more advanced way to write the language. And so when you're using a symbol, it can mean multiple things.
Okay. And so somebody just mixed it up. She talked about the Japanese being brought to South Omaha to work as strike breakers and what happened there. And you and I can imagine what happened, and they really weren't welcome once the strike was over. But they were, in 1910, 40% of Hawaii was Japanese. That's a big chunk of the population.
And if you go to Hawaii, you'll see that in their cuisine.
Yeah.
You see a lot of Japanese influence in their cuisine.
And she talked about, like we talk about, trying to figure out what the accurate data is, that in the 1909 Chautauqua in Omaha, they said 200 Japanese performed, but in 1910, the Chautauqua in 1909 here, not in Omaha, here in Scottsbluff. But in 1910, there were 105 Japanese working in the sugar factory. So which number is accurate? I don't know. It's somewhere between 105 and 200. And did they count those 105? Were those just the dudes that worked in the factory, and then your other 95 were women and children? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Or were those 200 Japanese that performed here? Maybe it was the 105, but then there were people from other places that came.
I can believe it was the women and children bit, because if you think about it, beads have to be sorted, and that's a huge job. We have machines now that do that, but back in the day, you had to do it all by hand.
Yeah.
So when you were sorting, if you had a strong man versus a young child or a woman to do it, you would choose the young child or the woman over the man to do it, because the man would plow the fields. So I could believe that the labor is definitely women and children, that were picking beets. There were beet sorters. That was a big deal.
And so she mentioned that, there were 500 in the state working on the railroad, and when the work ended, sugar factory opened, so they came to work at the sugar factory, and that the sugar factory made them settlers. They were still just migrants coming here to work, maybe go back home for a while. But once they started working the sugar beets, they became settlers.
Yeah, because the sugar beet was a stable job.
Yep.
Wasn't going anywhere.
And she also talked about her grandma, I know I'm going to say this wrong, Noi Sato. I know I'm saying her grandma's name wrong, and I apologize. It's Noi, and I don't speak Japanese, and I'm not sure how the letters go.
Because I won't do much better.
And if you don't know, this is something we'll get into major depth with, but picture brides were basically, you had a picture taken of yourself, and your dude here, let's say in Nebraska, get a picture taken of you, and it might be a picture that was taken of you 10 years ago. You send it back to Japan, the lady's like, oh yeah, and she sends her picture back. So, they weren't always accurate, and it wasn't like today where you put the stupid filters on your pictures to make you look better than you are. This is just, pictures were expensive, and, you change.
You had to go overseas.
Yeah, and you change over 10, 12 years. So some of that happened, and we can get into that in the future about it. And she went on to talk about the Antioch potash plant. Potash? Is that how you say it? Potash plants that were up in Antioch, which is north and a little east of Alliance. Potash.
Potash. I was about to say, are you trying to say potash?
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to say potash, and I mushed it together.
For those who don't know, that's potassium.
Yeah.
That's potassium fields they get out of water.
So they went to work up there. They registered for the draft in World War I and World War II, and she just she went into way more history that I don't want to do right now because we'll be here forever talking about it. And not that it's not interesting, but I want to do separate episodes on the Japanese.
We really should.
But it was a really good talk, and she talked about how, and I've heard this story and we've mentioned it before, how the folks that were here were protected. And not sent to the camps, and I need to do some more research in that because I know of one.
I want to know why more, the why behind that.
Yeah, why? Yeah. Because I also know, and I can't remember the names right now, but some lady, I believe she lived in Mitchell, a relatives of hers that lived in California got sent to a camp, and somehow they were able to get him to Sydney, where there was some kind of work camp on the, because the munitions mines were down there. And so he was still in a camp, but he was in a better position and treated 10 times better than the other camps. And that's the only person that I know of that was in a camp anywhere around here. But in general, every story I hear is they protected the Japanese that lived here. And so Julie is now has 6 generations of her family living in Nebraska because of that first grandfather that came over, even though he got shafted and got all of his money stolen, which really sucks for him. Because I know we're hitting an hour here, and we were going to talk about some other stuff. There were a lot of fantastic talks, and like I said, once I find out if they got video up, and because they were having some trouble with the video camera as well, but they were going to try and piece it all together and get stuff up. And they had 9 talks, and I was able to go to 1, 2, 3. I was able to go to 4 of them. I had planned on going all day on Saturday, and I got a phone call concerning family stuff, and so I didn't get to see the ones in the morning that I wanted to see. But the Mexican Americans in Nebraska was presented by Jose Garcia, and that was a really interesting talk.
That's another thing we don't really talk nearly as much about is all the Latin nations that are here now and why.
And they've been here forever, and the Spanish were up here, and they have found Spanish artifacts in Nebraska. Yeah. Yep. And so you can see down here at the bottom of the page different handwriting. His wife just happened to be sitting next to me. So she gave me his email address and phone number and was like, he would love to talk to you about more than this. And it's hard. They have 45 minutes to talk and 10 minutes to answer questions.
That is hard. So, especially because I'm sure all these people have quite a bit of passion behind them.
And that was one of the comments that I made.
Longer time.
I would rather have 75-minute talk, 15 minutes of questions, and have fewer talks so we get more of this info, because Jose ran out of time too. He had to flip through like his last 10 slides very quickly. He presented the information, but it was like this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, so that he could get through it. And it sucks, but his story. And again, we're running out of time. We're already hitting an hour here.
What are we doing?
And then Jerry gave a talk, and on Jose's talk, I've got 2 pages of notes.
We should ask him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll email and be like, dude, next time you're out,
just come on our podcast. Just come. Let's do it.
And that's something that I've learned just in living here. The Mexicans have been here from the beginning. Mm-hmm. The Spanish were up here. This whole area was Spanish, and the Mexicans really never left. So, okay, I'm not getting into politics there. There was a talk about the archaeology of Nebraska, which I'm a dork. I went to that. And then our friend Jerry talked about the unseen people in Nebraska. And it's a new lecture a new talk that he's just finished writing, so he's still got some tweaking to do. But he bought these 2 books. There's volume 1 and volume 2. called Legacy of African Americans in Western Nebraska, Pioneers, Entrepreneurs, and Buffalo Soldiers. And it's written by Ruby Coleman and Sherry L. Hopkins. And he told me not to mess them up, and he would probably kill me because Sherry Hopkins autographed both of them for him.
Oh, yeah, take good care of those.
So I will. Legacy has, I was talking to the folks at Legacy as well. They have both of these, and I can go down there and research them anytime I want, but I got these now, so I'll just read them. Jerry wanted to do more, but again, you're limited to 45 minutes. These two ladies have written a 2-volume book, and it's, I mean, what is that, like 6 inches thick?
Yeah, that's like a family Bible size book.
So he graciously loaned them to me because they're, you know, I still want to do Robert Anderson up in Alliance. You know what would be cool one day? Well, I don't know if we could get into his house. I'd have to figure out when Dobby's Frontier Town is open. But Robert Anderson's little log cabin that he built when he came out here is at Dobby's.
Cool. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
And then there's the whole story of Empire, which is...
We need to get on
We need to get going on.
That's a fascinating story. I really want it.
And so I'm like, what else is here? I'm hoping...
Soldiers.
Yeah, Buffalo Soldiers as well. And then do we do the Buffalo Soldiers as part of a several-part series on blacks in Nebraska, or do we do it on Fort Robinson? Which part do you put them in?
Probably do a little bit of both.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that maybe in these books there was a town somewhere around here, if I remember correctly, it was around Minutair, called Hope, and it was a small black community. And it's been a while since it's been like 10 years since I did any of this research, but there was very little out there at the time that I could find on the town, and I've forgotten the name of the town till Jerry mentioned it on the other day. And basically some of the folks from there went to Empire. Some of them came back when Empire ended, but it was only ever like a small community. Mm-hmm. And the main point of his talk was there are all these unseen pioneers out here, especially blacks, that we don't talk about. Which is why we did the story on the 2 black former slaves, because someone thought it was important enough to put in the Star-Herald in the 1940s, and I came across it, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can't forget about this. It's just sitting in a newspaper somewhere. We need to tell this story. So I'm curious to see if I find out anything more about them in here. And
yeah, that actually would be interesting. I wonder if they talk about Hope or Empire.
Yeah, I'm sure Empire's in here. I don't know, though, because it's western Nebraska, and technically Empire was just over the border in Wyoming. But the cemetery and their church is just over the border in Nebraska. And not even back then. Yeah, I think back then it was still, you know how Nebraska was that weird shape, and then we okay, you can have this Wyoming, and we got the line. That's why it ends up in 2 different places. That's why their church and cemetery is in one state and their little village was in another, because at the time it was all the same place.
Yeah, it was the same territory.
So this was really neat and interesting, and I know you're going to go to the Balloon Fest coming up here soon.
Yep. I'm hoping that looks like that's going to be fun. Going to the Balloon Fest. I did not get to go to the county fair, but I heard the county fair was really neat. I heard Sturgis was very interesting as well. I had a bunch of people coming back from Sturgis, so I got a couple of stories. I used to go to Sturgis religiously, so I guess Hank Williams played up there this year.
Hank Williams Jr.?
Must be.
Yeah, because if Hank Williams played up there, that'd be a story.
Yeah, right. And I think it was Hank Williams Jr. I think.
Okay.
I don't know, but
there's
quite a bit of deaths this year, which is unfortunate.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's typical for Sturgis.
Oh, okay.
It happens.
I've never been to Sturgis, so I don't know. And then I know the gravel race is going to be coming up soon. I don't remember the exact dates of that,
I don't
but
know
I
the
believe
exact
I
dates.
believe they got the U.S. championships too. I don't know if it's this year or next year that it's
Yeah.
going to be, but
So we'll have some
they got
crowds
that.
coming in, some people.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have people from out yonder come
Yep.
come this way.
And you have the marathon in September.
That's right.
And
Yeah, the Rushmore
what folks
Marathon.
don't know is the Monument Marathon is a qualifying event for the Boston Marathon.
I did not know that actually.
And I didn't know until the Monument Marathon started here, because as a diligent reporter, I wanted to learn everything I could to put it in my story. I just assumed you signed up for New York and Boston and London.
No, I
And
knew-
went
I
and
knew-
ran.
I did know you have to qualify somewhere for the Boston.
But yeah, so you got to qualify for Boston, and this race counts as one of
Very
those
cool.
qualifiers.
I have a friend who's doing a Hawaiian marathon. I mean,
Oh,
that's where he lives.
nice.
But he's doing a Hawaiian. I thought that's pretty cool. I would love to do a marathon. I don't
I've-
have time to run all day.
I
I just don't.
Yeah.
That's stuff to do.
I've
Sometimes
stood and
the
taken
run.
pictures all day for 3 years in a row. The first year I ran around and took pictures, which was a bit of a pain in the butt because I'm crossing where the runners are going, and I got to get permission to get my car to go over here and get a picture, and then over here and get a picture. And then for 3 years, I stood right in front of the monument, and I had to take a picture of every runner that went past the monument. It sucked. And then the last year, I was at the start-finish line and had to get those pictures and then interview some people. So I don't like marathons because of that. It's the same reason why I don't like parades, because in high school I was in marching band, and we never did a parade that was under 3 miles, and I was a drummer, so I had 25 pounds of weight on my shoulder for three
Running for
miles.
3 miles.
So I don't like parades because of that, not because parades are dumb and stupid or whatever. I don't
I've always
have.
admired the marching band. Actually.
Okay.
In Sioux Falls, where I lived, they had their marching band championships right outside our door, because they would have it in a parade fashion. Because part of the judgment was you doing the lineups and stuff, and we lived right downtown, so they would come to our street about to go down to the main street to do the lineups. So they'd be all lined up, like fiddling around. Sometimes they do a little practice. And
Yep.
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I definitely got their endurance, because like a couple of times it was either very, very cold or it's just stupid sun beating on you hot.
And
it
now-
was never nice.
now-
Never a beautiful day.
Yeah, and in winter in New York, your hands get very, very cold. Drummers can't wear gloves. The rest of the band can wear gloves,
I could see
including the
that.
color guard.
Is that because
but-
you might?
Yep,
your
'cause you might
drumstick
send a
might
stick
slip
s-
flying.
Yep.
Makes sense.
but
They
it-
used to allow it. Someone effed it up for everybody.
Yeah, somebody screwed that rule up. Yep, yep. Hit somebody in the head, wrong
Poked out
person.
an eye.
And then, if I remember correctly, I think the powwow this year is going to be in September
Yes,
or
I was
October.
going to ask you about the powwow and
Yeah.
if they're still doing it.
Yes.
Awesome.
They decided to do it a little later in the year this
Okay.
year. So I just can't remember if I was told September or October. So I'm going to go
Still
to that.
September. So I want to go to that
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
We need to go
We can go.
prepared.
Yes, we do.
I need to bring out fold-out chairs. I need to bring more sunscreen, a couple snacks.
We'll be more prepared
We need
next
to be
time.
more prepared.
Yeah,
We were
'Cause-
not prepared last time
And
at
it was,
all.
but it was still fun because you stayed with me almost the whole day. And granted, once I got back home, Jenna had texted me, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not coming back out." And there was still like 2 or 3 hours to go.
Yeah.
But we were still there. What, 6, 7 hours? I think you
We
had a
came in the morning and left at noon, like at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I think you had a birthday party or something you had to go to. And my
Yeah.
thought was, oh, I'll drop you back off at my house, and because that's where your car was, I'll go pee, I'll get some water. Yeah, no, once I got inside, I was like, I'm not going back
It was,
out.
it was a scorcher. That
Yeah,
day.
it was, and I think that might be also why they're
Pushing
shifting it.
off a bit.
But I had a blast being there with someone, because I know a couple of other people that stayed for about 40 minutes. Oh, once you heard one song, you've heard them all. And I'm like, no.
Oh, that's not true.
I'm like,
not
one,
cool
that's not true. Two, you didn't see it all. You didn't hear it all.
No, the whole thing. Whole thing's an experience.
Yes. So
gotta go.
There are a lot of things happening here, coming up here, and I just thought I would sit and talk about my experience with the Chautauqua, because this is a excellent event. If you can get to a Chautauqua anywhere in your state, check it out. At least in Nebraska, they're free. And
even if they're not, I don't feel like these people are going to bend you over a barrel to go in.
No.
You know.
And I only had about a week and a half's notice, so I had coffee/tea with Jerry, because he drinks coffee, I drink tea. I had met him on Monday, and it was the following Friday. So you had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the next Friday was this. And I skipped a couple of events at Agate that I wanted to go to attend this. A week and a half is not enough time when you have things set in stone that you really can't change. If I had known about this earlier, and I think I'm going to, because my friend Katie works for Humanities Nebraska, so I think I'm just going to send her a letter and say, is there a way to get the word out a lot sooner? Because I knew a week and a half ahead of time, and there were some things I couldn't change, because I would have loved to have listened to Abigail Adams and Big Elk at the Midwest Theater, but I had things going on both those nights that I couldn't change, so I missed them. But if you hear about them and you have time, even if you can just go to one. No one says you have to be like me and go to 7 hours worth of them, but they are interesting. They provide a lot of education, entertainment, insight.
Yeah, that Netflix show you wanted to see will be waiting for you.
Yeah.
Your whatever you like to binge on.
Yeah. It'll still be there. Yeah.
Take a time to go outside, do something cultural, do something for yourself.
Yeah.
Learn something.
So this I guess was just a big plug episode for all the cool things that go on here, because I do hear that a lot.
Promote Scotts Bluff.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do here, folks. Come to Scotts Bluff. It's fun.
It's fun. It's entertaining. Right now they're fixing the Summit Road to the monument, so you will have to hike up it for the next few weeks till they get it.
Yep, that's right. They don't got that quite fixed yet.
They did get their federal grant, and so they're patching up the roads to make sure that it's safe. But of course, by the time you hear this episode, all that work should be done. But there is a lot to see and do here if you just look, and don't just dump on the place you're from. I mean, even I don't like the town I came from in New York, but that's for very personal reasons, not because there's nothing to do.
There's lots to do in New York.
Yeah.
There's lots to do here, though, too, compared to some other places nearby. We got museums, we got entertainment,
and
events.
I'm also assuming...
sorry, the Blues, Beans, and Bluegrass Festival, which might be done by the time this passes.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys got to that. The
What is it?
Blues, Beans, and Bluegrass Festival. The blah, 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 blah is a great, great thing. Also, they do stuff at Legacy at the Plains.
Throughout the year, they've got a whole... You go to their website, and there's a whole list of what their events are this year.
I mean, in terms of...
the bluegrass. Beans. Yeah, they had stuff down there.
The guy comes out there with the beans and tells you how to cook some cool beans and have cool dishes. If you don't know how to cook beans from scratch,
There you go.
There you go. There's lots of cool stuff happening.
Yeah.
This is really the time I think that all the cool stuff does happen is around August and September.
Yeah, a good chunk of it is this time of year. And I'm assuming anybody that's listening to this either likes to listen to me blather on or likes to learn about history. So there is a lot of stuff out here to see and do and learn. And people are nice when you come through, so you don't have to worry about getting run out of town.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to me yet. If it hasn't happened to me, I don't think it's going to happen to you. I've had probably good reasons to be ran out of town by now.
I think I've had a few too, but, whatever. So that's it for this time, folks. We're here at almost a minute 20 now. We'll be back with a new episode next week, but this week we just wanted to get some relevant things in that just happened, are happening, and will happen relatively soon. That if you're here in the August-September time frame, they are every year, with the exception of the Chautauqua. So come on out, see stuff. That's the end of our plug. For now, I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.